So today we were going to learn how to cut, shape, and sand COOSA composite panels. Now if you're not familiar with COOSA composite panels, it's a marine replacement for basically plywood. The advantage is it's considerably lighter, it's considerably stronger, and it's just great stuff to work with. Now we are actually building a custom 29-foot hybrid class bay boat, and we are using COOSA composite panels extensively. And what I thought I would do was show y'all some of my favorite tools for working, shaping, sanding. And we got actually a piece that we're gonna fit in, and I'm gonna show y'all the exact process. Now first off, COOSA, all of its benefits aside, there is one thing you're gonna wanna be doing when you're handling it. First and foremost, you're gonna wanna be wearing some gloves. These are just latex gloves. Sometimes you may wanna use some fabric, something a little bit heavier, but it does have fiberglass within the material itself, and if you rub this with your hands, you are going to get splinters. So that's going to be one of the first things. Now secondly, when we're dealing with the stuff, it is fairly expensive, and sometimes what we will do is actually use a template or a pattern, and that is going to be one of the other tips or hacks. We use a standard dowel, just a blue board from Lowe's or Home Depot, and it is much easier to cut and shape this, get a pattern, and then transfer that to your actual COOSA panel. And we're going to go transfer that to a 4x8 sheet, which is standard 4x8 sheets. And again, it's meant to be a plywood replacement or a marine plywood replacement. So y'all follow me. We're going to walk over actually to the table saw first. So come on down the line. A lot of folks, if you've never worked with it, again, may be unfamiliar with what to do. Now, you can cut this with a standard table saw. Obviously, you're always going to want to wear some kind of a mask. This is a pretty basic one. I am going to put one of these on. And some eye protection's not a bad idea. We've got a couple pieces we need to rip. We're going to power this up. And it's just a standard wood cutting table saw, y'all, with a standard wood cutting blade. I'm going to use a push stick for safety. See how nicely cuts it beautifully. We're going to do that one more time. Always want to use your push stick. All right, y'all can see how easy that was. Two beautifully cut strips. Now these are actually going to go on the gunnels further aft, but we're going to take our template and we're going to go over here. This is a curved piece, and I've actually got some trimmings from a previous panel we cut, and to make the best use of the panel, we're going to take this template and then we're going to use a jigsaw or a saber saw. Now this is a Bosch. Logan, that's just a standard. You may want to zoom in there on that one. And what we're using to cut this is a standard, that's a metal or a bimetal blade right there. That is going to be, oh gosh, let me see here. That's 11 to 14 teeth per inch. And it's just your basic metal or bimetal cutting blade. But if you're going to be doing that, I have found one of the best ways to deal with marking and shaping is to use a standard Sharpie. That's going to be the industrial strength one. It's going to leave a little better mark. And we're going to use this panel because it's already kind of pre-curved, and we can get the two pieces we need out of that. So I'm going to cut a rough blank and just real carefully lay down a mark. I'm going to trace the perimeter. I'm going to come back around. Y'all notice I'm holding this blue board down with one hand while I mark with the other. It is quite light and it'll shift around on you. All right, I'm going to mark the orientation. That is going to be forward and on the north or the port side of the boat. All right, so you can see how nicely we kind of utilize the curve or the shape of that panel. I'm gonna set this aside. Now, one alternative, sometimes I will use just airflow. If you look over here, guys, we got a couple of big, nice fans that I'm gonna go ahead and power these up. We're gonna get ready to cut this panel with a big saw. Now, a couple of good sawhorses are gonna be something. These have been around forever. If you look here, y'all, these sawhorses have been here since I was a kid. My father actually built these. And then we're using some speed clamps. Now, Irwin makes those, and you can buy those at Lowe's. And if you've never used these things, it kind of takes the place of a C-clamp. You can do it one-handed. Squeeze that down and it tightens. You can open them, close them, tighten that down. Right. We are just going to do a rough cut. We're going to knock this blank out. Y'all can see exactly how nice. Just like that. Now again, this is just a rough cut. We're gonna trace this out on the actual boat to get a more accurate fit, and then we're gonna be using a bandsaw, and it's gonna be a little more accurate than the jigsaw or saber saw. Now if you don't have a bandsaw, that's okay. You can still use this, but it's pretty handy if you're gonna be working with COOSA to have a nice jigsaw or saber saw. Now one other tool we use, and I like to rough up the surfaces when we're working with it. That is a standard, that's a little Hitachi, either a 4.5 inch or 5 inch high-speed grinder. And we're using just a standard like a 36 or a 24 grit disc sandpaper. Now one thing I do like to do is rough up the surface a little bit before we actually put it on the boat. There, that just puts a little texture on the surface. You do have to be careful though, because it will take off quite a bit quite quickly. Now y'all follow me, we're gonna go back to the boat, we're gonna mark it. Okay, so we have got our panel cut. We used our template, we used our jigsaw to kind of get a rough cut. I'm gonna place this. Now this is gonna be an actual piece of the boat, y'all. So we're using this for demonstration purposes, but I have found that when you're fitting like little pieces like this, having an assortment of bricks around the shop, and even sometimes we'll use old batteries, and that kind of keeps everything nice and level and in place. And once again, we're going back to the Sharpie, the industrial strength Sharpie. And I'm gonna just reach underneath here, and we are getting a really tight mark. There you go, Logan, just take your time. We're getting a really nice, I will try to do it in one pass if I can, but sometimes just for the sake of being sure, I will come back from the other direction. And I'm tucking this way underneath there because you got an angled cut. All right, and now we're gonna flip around, come in on the inside as well. Same deal, I'm just using the previous piece underneath to guide us along. I'm going to come back. There it is. So that is a really nice, accurate line that we can work with. We know this is the north piece and that's a forward orientation. That's going to be important so that when sometimes it's easy to get it flip-flopped and turned around. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to the bandsaw and we're going to be cutting on a standard, this is a Shop Fox, it's a 93.5 inch blade. I'm going to show y'all the blades we use. That is from Lowe's, and you can see right there that's a 93.5 inch. It's a half inch wide and 4 teeth per inch. And these are just standard, as far as I know, standard wood cutting blades. There's nothing, see it says application is going to be for wood, plastic, maybe thin sheet metal. But I find that these work really well. Now I'm sure there are other brands that will work as well. But one modification I have done to my bandsaw, I have taken out this little base plate and I'm actually using my shop vac and we're drawing some air. I'm kind of tucking that right underneath and that collects a lot of the dust this bandsaw makes. And that is one thing with the COOSA, you're going to want to be either using a vacuum to catch the dust or fans to blow it away, or want to be sure to wear a respirator. I'm going to turn the vacuum on and we're going to show y'all exactly how well this cuts. Much straighter than if you're using a jigsaw. We're going to cut the other line. Once again, you can see how nice that is. Now, apologize, y'all, it's loud in here. Turn the vacuum off. There are a few little irregularities, but I'm going to show y'all how to deal with that in a second. So our piece that we just cut on the bandsaw, you can see we got a few little irregularities, and we cut that a little bit long. So how we're going to deal with that, something I found that works really good, is coming back over here to our sawhorse. And we're actually going to be using this long fairing board, but when you're trying to sand and the piece is moving around on you, you're like, what is the solution? These little narrow pieces can be hard to hold. I'm going to show you. The solution would be to just drill a little hole, a little pilot hole through the COOSA on either end, and then we're going to use just a standard stainless steel wood screw to hold this in place. For this application, not a problem having a couple holes in the COOSA panel, because we're going to be fiberglassing over all this. So this is going to be one of those tools, if you don't own one and you're going to try to build a boat or any curved panels, that is a curved fairing block or fairing board. 3M makes that, and what I've done is I've just stuck 5 pieces of 40-inch grit. Sometimes that works really good if you don't have the long, these are made for the big continuous like 4-inch wide pieces. Sometimes I don't have the grit I need in stock, and you can just take a series of sandpaper discs, standard Velcro backed, and use those to shape. And so you can see this is a curved piece, and what's nice is this fairing board will follow that curve. And we're just going to go from one end to the other. Now I'm using a pretty good bit of pressure, and that's why you really need that piece screwed down or secured with some screws. and we'll show the folks. You can kind of see the buildup of dust. Again, you want to be careful with this stuff. You want to be wearing gloves, but you can see that's a nice, clean, uniform edge. I don't feel any ripples. Now with the bandsaw cut, again, on this backside, Logan, here, kind of show them, you can see where the band will leave little ridges and marks. This fairing board will take all those out. Now, one thing to remember is that when you're fitting a piece like this, when you're sanding, you are taking a little bit of material off of there. So I actually cut this piece a little bit wide or a little bit long, and you're gonna factor in, I would say a 32nd or a 16th of an inch is probably gonna be lost. And that's, I usually prefer to fine tune with the sanding block and a fairing block rather than just try to cut that line super precise. But you can see at this point now, that's getting even straighter, smoother, very nice uniform curve. All right, follow me, let's go see if this piece actually fits. Y'all, this is a good time to tell you, if you are enjoying the content that you're seeing here on the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button, like and comment. If you have any questions, I will answer every question you have personally. And I know some of y'all may be using this for projects, like if you're putting a new floor in a boat that you really like and want to keep for a long time, COOSA might be a good material for that. But definitely working with it, there's a few little things that you're going to want to know that differ from wood. But man, that's looking pretty good right there. You can see we're lining up on this beveled edge. That is within spec. You know, we can shape and fair that as needed, but that's going to be a pretty good fit. So now what we've got, you can see we've got this 45-degree bevel on all of this. Now it's true you could possibly sand that or cut it with a bandsaw, but I have found that a router is going to be the way to go. So one thing I'm going to do, I like the fit of this piece. I'm going to mark so that I know which way to cut this angle. Got it marked on both sides. Once again, I can see here, I am pretty happy with how close that is. That is certainly within spec for what we're trying to do. I'm gonna take our bricks. We're gonna move over to the router table. All right, y'all follow me. You can see over here, we've got a nice Bosch. This unit, again, I bought it at Lowe's or Home Depot, and we are using a big 45-degree, zoom in on this bit over here. That's a big 45-degree, and it's made by this company called Whiteside. That's a chamfer bit. They're not cheap. This one was about $100 for that bit, but it's a heavy duty one. I'm sure you could get away with a smaller one, but it's a 1/2-inch shank, 45-degree angled bit, and it does a really nice job. The vacuum attachment, that's kind of one of the tricks with working with a router, is using a vacuum to pull some of that dust. I'm going to attach it on the Bosch here. It's on the back side. See there, that attachment. This is a great little table. Again, they're readily available. And I'm going to plug in. Sorry y'all, moving around. And I had marked this previously. You can see the angle here. We know which side needs to be trimmed. The router is going to cut that 45-degree bevel. Check that out. Beautiful, nice 45-degree bevel on that. Unplug our vacuum cleaner. Let's walk over and see how that See how that looks. Heck yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Look how nice that looks, everybody. That blends right in. I'm gonna use the bricks to kind of just hold this in place. Now we are gonna come back and kind of fair and shape this more, but you can see how we went from a raw blank of material, got our contour with the template, used a sawzall, use a table saw. You can actually even use a circular saw or skill saw. I didn't talk about that a whole bunch today. But that's basically how we fit pieces. I want y'all to know how much I appreciate everybody. I hope that was informative and helpful information. If it was, please be sure to subscribe, like, comment, and share. If you have any suggestions on videos you guys would like to see, man, I'd be happy to make them for you guys. It's Captain Joe here with Island Marine Charters down in Gulf Shores, Alabama, and Fish Bump TV here on YouTube. And as always, we'll catch you guys next time out.